It's 7:02. We're running late, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay. Welcome, everybody. I'm glad y'all got the email and that you are attending tonight. So let's start with a couple of questions, some administrative stuff. How many of you have completed the survey that are on right now? You can use the emoticons or raise your hand. Okay, cool. Okay. I see most of the names here. Looks like you have completed the survey. I just recognize your names. So thank you for doing that. If you have responded, but if you haven't, thanks, Joshua. Please take the time to complete the survey. We'll put you have it in a previous email, but we'll try to put the URL to the survey in the chat. Did everyone get questions for tonight? Let me put it this way. Did some of you not get the questions? Because if so, we'll show them on the screen. Okay, cool. So they were included in the email, and it looks like many of you got them. But since we're going to make reference to them tonight, I'll include them on the screen when I share my screen. Thanks, Jaden. Thanks, guys. Okay, so then let me say that what we're going to do tonight, what's on the agenda for tonight. And what's on the agenda is that this is going to be our last meeting before we get to the gathering. So we're having the session today. You know, tomorrow's a repeat of today's session, which you are more than welcome to reattend. And then the next week, I think, is your spring break. And the week after that, which is the week of the 18th, you'll be coming back. And so we're not going to have a class that week. We've been meeting every 2 weeks, but this one is going to be 3 weeks before we come together. So the next time we come together is when we plan to have the physical meeting of you guys with the alumni. And so today we're prepping you. The whole agenda for today is to discuss the questions, and you guys are really going to carry this conversation with our guidance. So Tuesday and Wednesday, the 26th and the 27th, we start at 7 p.m., but we're asking you to be there at 6:30. We want to check you all in. We want to give you time to meet other folk. And then we'll start the interviewing at 7 o'clock. We're asking the alumni to do the same thing. So it just gives you a chance and an opportunity to get to know other schoolmates who are, attending, as well as the alumni. So and we're going to meet at the Massey building. We will send to you via email, the same way I've been communicating with you, the exact floors that we'll be on, but it will probably be the Massey building. I'm just not sure what floors. Any questions so far? Okay, very, very good. Yes, Kareem.
Hello. What will we have to do we have to prepare for anything for the in-person gathering?
Good
Like
question.
questions,
No,
something?
you don't have to prepare, because this meeting tonight is your preparation. So we're going to familiarize you with the questions so that when you come in, then you can feel comfortable knowing what questions are going to be asked and how to ask them. In terms of dress your normal stuff, jeans, whatever makes you feel comfortable, dress that way. Anything else that we should include in that?
Nothing that I can think of.
Thanks, Dominique. So I want to introduce our team to you today. You all know me, and you know Mr. Roland Washington well. He is in the background here, and he will chime in. There he goes, former Morehouse alum. who really is the person who created the concept Brilliance Behind Bars. But you haven't met our other two members of the team thus far. So we have Mr. Dominique Harris. Raise your hand, Dominique. There you go. And we have Mr. Shenard Lindsay. Those two gentlemen have agreed to play the role of a formerly incarcerated person, or the persons that you will be asking questions of. And so I will help you with the first question. I'll get that started. And we want to discuss what is meant behind the question. And the other thing we want to do is, so each of you are asked to create a deliverable at the end of this course. It can be anything you want. Most of you will probably do something written, but it could also be poetry. It could be writing. It could be drawing. It could be even dance. I mean, it's up to you to create what you want to create. In order to get to what you want to create, you have to find something of interest. So you are able to develop your angle on this. In other words, additional questions that you might want to ask. So I'm going to put the questions up now, and I'm going to share my screen so you can keep an idea of what those questions are. But think about if there are additional questions that you might want to ask to build on the responses that they give. Let me put this up. Here we go. This is what I sent you. So here's how to handle questions. We have 10 questions here, and you got them. Those 10 questions must be asked, and they must be asked the way they are written. We have tried to simplify the questions as much as possible. But what we're doing is we're asking open-ended questions. So what that means is you ask that question, we get the answer we need and want, but you can build on that, because we're going to discuss each question here, what it means, what we're trying to get out of it. And you want to make sure that you get what we want out of it. And in addition, that's then going to cause additional questions in your head. So I will first ask for a volunteer. If I don't get a volunteer, then I'll ask somebody. I have a list of the people who said that they wanted to ask questions, but that wasn't very large. And I think there were a lot of people who were unsure whether they wanted to ask. So what I'll say to you is this is an opportunity to get out of your comfort zone, and to get out of your comfort zone with people who won't judge you. We're not going to judge you on our BBB team, and neither will the people that you're interviewing. So I encourage you to volunteer. So let's go ahead and get started unless anybody has any questions. Okay. One more thing I want to say is that you're speaking to real people, so that you should treat them the way that you would want to be treated. You should have the same sensitivity to them that you would like to have that you would like for someone to have towards you. So Dominique and Shenard, are you ready? Okay, here's the first question here. The question is, please explain how you either valued or did not value education when you were in school. So many of us, when we were in K through 12, and that's what we mean by school, K through 12, it was important to some, and it was not important to some others. So for a lot of people, one of the statistics you may recall that you saw was that many people who are behind bars did not complete their education. So you can make, I don't want to stereotype, but a lot of them just didn't have education, didn't have a GED when they left school. They may have gotten one later. So the question really is why? I mean, did you value it or did you not value it personally, and why? Can I get a volunteer to ask this question?
I can ask it.
Joshua, you got it. First up. Pose the question to Dominique or Shenard. Let's
The
take
same
Dominique.
question. The same question that you asked.
Yes.
Okay. Hi, Dominique. Can you please explain how you either value or did not value education when you were in school?
Okay.
I
Let's
can't
just stop
say
for a
that.
moment before you answer, Dominique. So when you sit down with these folks, make sure you say hello. So the first thing you want to do when you interview somebody is you want to put them at ease so they feel comfortable with you. So just, say who your name is, who they are, maybe that you're glad that they're there or you're glad to be there or whatever, but just put them at ease if you can. So go ahead, try again, Joshua.
Okay. Hi, how are you doing, Dominique? My name is Joshua. I go to Morehouse and I'm a business administration major. I'm very excited to be in this program to, learn more about your experience and just to get a, further insight on it. Question that I want to ask you is, if you could please explain how you either value or did not value education when you were in school.
Thank you for that, Joshua. I can't really say that I valued or not valued it. I didn't graduate, so I know that I had to go to school, but I guess I didn't. So I can't really pinpoint if I valued it or not valued it. I know that after my incarceration, I understood that it was more important to go to the school rather than not.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
Joshua, did that answer the question satisfactorily to you?
Yeah, I feel like I got a good understanding of it. From what he said, I picked up that it wasn't that he valued or didn't value it. It was just a requirement. So he went through it as far as he did, but it wasn't like he didn't value or valued it.
So he answered the question.
Yeah.
Okay, so now this question I'm posing is for everyone who's attending this. Is there more that we can get out of this question then? He said he didn't really value it or he did not value it. Is there another follow-up question that we could ask that might shed more insight into that?
You could ask like what led him to not value and what led
Go
him
ahead,
to.
Owen. Go ahead and ask him the question.
Hey Dominique, my name is Owen. I'm a software engineer from Morehouse College. My to follow up on the if you valued your question, valued or did not value. You said that you didn't graduate. What actions would you say that you took that really like led to you not graduating, or like what actions would you say reflected you not valuing or not holding education to the degree you feel like you should have held it to now?
I'm gonna answer that question, but we got to figure out how to shorten that. But I really didn't have. I don't think I had any internal role models that I could see that was successful. Everyone was kind of concerned about work, and it didn't really make sense for me to go to school. If that makes sense, it made more sense to try to make money. So the people around me didn't really value education as well, or I didn't see it as a immediate outcome to help my situation. I didn't see it as an immediate source of financial relief.
Okay, let me interrupt now at this moment. Joshua, you asked the question and you asked it very well because you asked it very specifically and you got an answer to the question that you asked. That was good. Owen, that was really good that you picked up on something that Dominique said that was very important. And then you asked a very relevant question as a follow-up to what Joshua said. So we got the answer to our question. He neither valued nor didn't value it. But in asking that additional question, in my opinion, we got another piece of valuable information. Because from listening to Dominique, it was about money. It wasn't about education, it was more about money. Are you all getting what I'm saying? It's the value. That question had greater value because of the follow-up question?
Catherine, can I say the reason
Sure.
I made the comment? Because right after Owen asked me the question, I kind of wanted to ask him to repeat it, but I was able to recalibrate it in my mind. That's why I don't know how we feel about that hesitation with the alumni having to want to repeat the question, that's why I kind of said that. Because I wanted to say, can you repeat it? But I got the question though.
No, ask him to repeat it. If you don't get it, just ask
Okay.
him to repeat it. That way they may, make it clearer. Jaden, you have a question. Go ahead.
Good evening. No, I didn't have a question. I was just trying to ask the next question.
Very good. That was perfect because I was just going to
Yeah,
say,
yeah.
I'd like to volunteer to ask question too. So we're going to switch off between Dominique and Shenard. So go ahead and pose your question to Shenard.
Good evening, Shenard. How you doing today, man?
Pretty good, Jaden. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, yeah. Happy to be here, man. My name is Jaden Broussard. I go to Morehouse. I'm a junior business administration major. How did your family feel about your education?
My family felt like education was important.
Hmm. Did any did, did any of your family members go to college or graduate?
None of my immediate family had gone to college, but I think that family felt like the education was important.
So let me interrupt here again. Sorry, guys, but on these first ones, I may interrupt a lot so we get an understanding of what we're trying to do. So what do we mean by this? How did your family feel about education? Because in K through, like Dominique just said, he explained that education really, didn't have a lot of value, it really didn't have value. He didn't look at it in that way. So we know that most of the people, I think it's below 50% of the people who are behind bars had graduated high school. So why is that? Usually for many, if you think of yourself, put yourself in that situation, why is it that you felt it was important to graduate from high school? And so we're trying to find out, how did your family feel? Because very often the impetus for us comes from our mother or father or somebody in our family. And so this question is getting at, how did your family feel about education? Now, Shenard made me laugh because he answered the question, but he answered it as briefly as he possibly could. So now when it gets that brief, then, somebody should follow up, either the person who asked the question or somebody, because let me explain this, I'm sorry. It will not be a one-on-one. There's gonna be 3 or 4 of you per alumni. So you're gonna have, a brother next to you, and either you or a brother next to you should come up with a follow-up question so that we don't leave it just at what Shenard said. Somebody want to follow up? And you did. It was Jaden that asked that, and Jaden, you did follow up. Great. That was, you did exactly the right thing. When it's that brief, we want a little more. Now, did you get enough?
I don't think so. But I that's the first question I can think about. It's on top of my head. You kind of threw me off with that one. So, but yeah, that was the first question I thought about. I couldn't.
No. Okay, let's go to the next one because I want to get through all the questions to get you all thinking about what each one means. Who wants to do the third question? Jordan. You didn't ask, right?
No.
Yeah, no.
No, I didn't ask one yet.
Please help us out if you don't mind.
Okay. Hey, Dominique. How did your peers and close friends feel about education?
Did you hear that, Dominique?
No, I didn't. I'm sorry. That's why I Coach, I didn't hear him. My
Oh,
bad.
okay. I said, how did your peers and close friends feel about education?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good.
Um,
Sorry, it's a lot going on right now.
I know it's all right. But hey, I about the same. No way. They didn't care really. We if we had a test, we might think about trying to pass it, but we didn't really care about going to class and things like that. Just went. It wasn't like, oh, I gotta go to class. You just went because it was routine and things like that. As I think about it, we really didn't really care.
Okay, I have a follow up to that. So, because you guys didn't really have like that sort of care for it, do you think it affected you guys in the longer run when talking about school and going to class and doing all that?
Can you repeat that one more time?
Your
I
voice isn't
said,
coming through clear, Jordan. Yeah.
okay, let me change this real quick. Okay, can you hear me better?
A little better, yeah.
Okay, so wait. God. Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's much better.
So my follow-up question was, seeing that you guys didn't really have that care for going to school, do you think it affected you in the long run? And if so,
Mm,
how?
how? Well, I do think it affected me in the long run. I didn't get educated. So I think that answers both questions. I do think it and how I didn't get educated. So that affects decision making.
Kareem,
Hello, how are you doing? Do you guys hear me?
I thought you raised your hand.
Do you hear me?
One second.
Can we hear you? Yes. You're going to have to address your question so that the person that you're addressing knows that you're asking him a question.
I said, hi, Dominique, how are you doing?
So your voice isn't coming through clearly. I'm not sure he heard you.
Yeah, I'm gonna put some headphones in because some reason I can't hear what they great. One second.
Now, while he's doing that, let me say that the people who are coming are friendly and they're trying to answer your questions because they know that's why they're there. And they know that you plan to ask them questions. So
I was gonna say the same thing. They might not be as hard, you know.
yeah. I like, what Dominique and Shanard are doing because it's forcing you to draw out from them what you want. But they're going to be receptive to answering your questions, but you just have to make sure because they don't know where you're headed. And that's why we're giving background behind each question to help you understand maybe follow-up questions that you might want to ask to get deeper into what we're trying to learn. You ready, Dominique?
Yeah, it's gonna be the best I can get to do.
Okay.
I can
Kareem, go
barely
ahead
hear
and
them.
try again.
Good evening,
What was the
Dominique. How are
follow-up
you
question?
today? Still not.
Can
Do
you
you
hear
guys hear
me?
me clearly? Yeah, I can hear you clearly. I was like, hi, Dominique. How are you doing this evening?
Say that again, please.
Good
It's not
evening.
you. It's not you, Dominique. It's the audio on their end.
Okay.
All right, my bad.
Repeat it again, Kareem.
Kareem, yeah. And Kareem, if we can't understand you, go ahead and put it in chat.
Just hear me better now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Much
Whole
better.
lot better.
Okay.
Whole
It's
lot better.
better, yeah.
Okay, I was just saying good evening. How are you, Dominique?
Hey, all right, Corey.
I'm good. You said that it affected you in the long run, and I wanted to know more about, was it more of a positive or negative impact that you felt?
Um, it was a negative impact initially, but as I reflect, you still learn from the things you do. So eventually I learned from it. So I can't call it all negative. So it, overall, it was a negative impact on my life, not being educated, not graduating, because it led to bad decisions early on.
All right. Thank you for answering my question.
That was good. That was
Yeah.
good.
Okay, let's move on to the next one. Do I have a volunteer? Ethan. Do you mind asking question 4?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Let's see, Sanat. How you doing, Sanat?
I'm well in yourself, man.
I'm good. I'm good, man.
You represent those Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. My team right there. My name is Ethan Dennis, freshman, business administration major with a concentration in management. I attend the Prestigious Morehouse College. And my question for you is, what role did your classmates in prison play in your efforts to get an education?
The classmates were a very important part of the support and wanting to be accountable. We were accountable to one another. We encouraged one another. We fed off each other when it was time. We was given an assignment to do a reading. We found value. I found value. We found value in what everyone's interpretation was of it, of the reading, whatever the reading assignment was. The the classroom, the students, our peers were very important. It was the support that I would not have imagined if I had not experienced it.
Okay, so you would say they played a huge role in getting to get an education.
It was very good. It was good for all of us. I first said that we were accountable to one another.
Yeah.
Meaning we didn't want to let one another down. If one was struggling in a certain area with doing research or being able to cite certain things, then we helped one another. But most guys in this classroom of ours, it's their first time taking a college course, so doing anything as extensive or exhaustive as a college class. So we were there for one another.
But I like that because that kind of plays a part into Morehouse where I got my brother's back, so you got your brother's back in there helping him get his education too. So I like that.
That was on point, Ethan. Now, Ethan did something that you all can feel free to do as well. And that is he took his own personal experience and related that to what Chenard answered. And when you do that, people relate to that. You shouldn't do it in the beginning because you don't want to show bias in that initial question. But in your follow-up questions, or as Ethan did, he responded to something that Chenard said, and that established a bond and a light bond, but a bond nevertheless between him and Chenard. So the next time he asks a question of Chenard, Chenard might be more willing to come forth. Keep in mind, though, that you're always a neutral person in this. It's just that you want somebody to feel comfortable in answering your questions. Okay, thank you, Ethan. Can I get a volunteer for question number 5? And before I do that, let me just say in question number 4. So Ethan said, that's like me at Morehouse and my brothers, and I know you all help each other. Well, let me not say anything more about that. Let's leave that the way it is. Can I get a volunteer to ask question 5? Munir El Amin.
Hello.
Hello, you can
Are
just
you?
call me MJ.
Jay, you got it.
Um, good evening, Dominique. How are you doing?
Hey, how you doing? Mint? How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Uh, my, my question for you: after taking post-secondary education classes, did it shift how you thought and made decisions? And please explain how and why or why not.
Yeah, it most definitely shift how I thought. Um, and if you shift your thinking, your decisions change. So, and how, um, I can just say kind of gave me the ability to think a little more clearly about things, like think things through, understand concepts of behavior and whether that was critical thinking or just understanding those things and thinking through.
Did that satisfy you, MJ?
Oh, my button wasn't working, but um, yeah, it did. I would just like want to know more on like you said that it like changed your like critical thinking and like challenged you. So like can you touch on that more a little bit? Like what like type of things like challenged you and like changed your thinking?
Like when I say critical thinking, like an internal shift, like a wrestle with yourself inside. Like that's what I think critical thinking is about. That's making the best decision. So whether it came from these great stories from Othello or uh Plato, all these stories that described all these hard times and senses of adversity, you don't kind of think you don't single yourself out anymore. So if that answers it a little bit better, just it's like an internal shift. Like you make better decisions because you're more inclined to think about things differently.
All right. Yeah, I get that. I get that.
Okay. Let me say something here. I did not find Dominique's answer satisfactory because let's take this question. After taking post-secondary education classes, did it shift how you thought and made decisions? So before, in K through 12, whatever they went through, they ended up taking a path that led them to behavior that put them behind bars, that took away their freedom. And if you listen to what Dominique said earlier, he said he didn't or did not value, he did and didn't value education. Now, all of a sudden, here they are taking post-secondary college classes after not really caring one way or the other too much about about education when they were in K through 12. Well, there has to be a big shift there. Something happened. And when Dominique first answered that question, he said, well, it shifted my thinking. And he didn't say not one specific thing. So MJ came back and did something really good. And he said, can you be a little more specific? And then Dominique got a little more specific, but it still didn't hit me in terms of understanding where is this dynamic change coming in? That's a hell of a change. So, gentlemen, we're here on a mission. And that mission is to get an answer to these questions. So you may have to push a little bit, very kindly, very tactfully, but something fundamental happened here, and we want to understand what it is and why. And this question is very close to getting at that. And Dominique actually made a statement earlier. He made the statement that his thinking changed. So what caused his thinking to change? So MJ, if I were to ask you that question right now, would you be able to sufficiently answer what made Dominique change? And if you can, great. But I didn't hear enough to make me be able to explain to somebody else.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to like give a thorough answer, but like what he touched on and what he said, I could give like a little bit of an answer to the question.
Exactly, exactly, a little bit. So we're trying to get at being able to explain to somebody else what his answer meant. And so you might have to dig a little deeper. And you know what? People want to. They want to answer that. They want the other person to understand who they are. And if they can get away with giving jive answers, then sometimes people do that because it's when you dig a little deeper that it means that you really care. And so people want to give information up to people who really care. Okay. Thank you for that. We took the first 5 questions. We were supposed to stop here and take this little poll. What do you think, Roland? Should we keep on rolling or should we stop? And Dominique and Shenard, should we keep rolling or should we stop?
Take the poll.
The poll and or the quiz, what you think?
Since we have 5, if we need to get them in, we probably should take a break if we want to get them in.
Yeah, I think for the sake of time, and I think that the scholars who are on right now, they got a good understanding. I think we worked them pretty good with more. The most important part was to show them how to dig. So we taught them. We reminded them that this is a human experience. It's not an experiment, and that point was driven, and just the ebb and flow of it, with being able to be relatable and to be relatable from their experiences and the alumni's experience. I think they got that, and so we can move forward with in my opinion, we can move forward with the quiz as well as the poll.
Okay, very good.
I
Roland?
agree. I mean, the scholars that they'll have to, it's all being recorded. I think all these gentlemen know that they get a pretty clear picture that they've got to review the tape, and they've got to review the questions between now and then. So I agree with the team.
Okay, good. I do want to take at least 2 of the questions that you're going to encounter. It's actually good if you read these questions because, you know, I just sent the questions today. So you haven't really had a chance to go through them. You're doing it now while we're in class, while we're doing this session. So I agree with you, Shenard, but I do want to go through 2 of these. I also want to go through 2 of these so that you understand what we're trying to get at. On question number 8, actually, the question is, did taking the classes make a difference in the way you view your community and or the world and your role in it? That's a pretty huge question for anybody. The title of our concept is Brilliance Behind Bars. And so this question elicited a lot of comments that were extremely meaningful before. So we want to know from that question, how did it change their viewpoint? How did it change them looking at themselves and their role in the world? So that's a very important question that I'd like for you to think a little bit more about and, you know, have a follow-up question in your mind to make sure that you get that question out. And the next one after it, if you could go back in your life and change any one thing that would have changed your reality of ending up incarcerated, what would that one thing be? Because that's a turning point in somebody's life. So I'll stop there. I just wanted to reiterate those questions there. The others, all the questions are important, every single one of them. But those 2 are very, very revealing questions. So I wanted to go over that. All right, good. We have a poll a quiz and a poll. We need to know who your professor is. I think almost everybody on this call here has already told us. Can you bring the poll out? I'm going to stop sharing.
Eight minutes, Dr. Rice.
Thank you. Can you bring the poll out, Dominique?
I'm bringing it up now.
Okay, thank you. Okay, if you've already answered this, then you don't need to. But if you haven't, please do, because we have less than half of the people that have registered. Do we know who their professor is? And if you did answer it again, feel free to answer it again. It won't, there's no harm. The second one is many of you may have asked this, but you may have changed your mind. So if you want to ask interview questions of the alumni, well, yeah, that's a big change already.
Excuse me.
Yes.
I answered unsure, but I definitely want to ask questions. I clicked the wrong button, so can I change that or no?
You clicked the wrong button?
Yeah, I clicked unsure instead of yes.
Try and see if you can click yes. You should be able to. Or did you submit it already?
Yeah, I already submitted it. I wasn't looking.
You didn't submit it. You should be able to change it.
So, okay.
Okay. Are they still coming in, Dominique?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, 8 out of 10. I think that's good.
It is.
Okay.
Okay.
Ending it now.
You can show the results if you'd like. Okay. So Dr. Meyer Harris, more students from her class. Okay, very good.
That's all right.
Yeah. Very good. Okay, can you bring up the quiz, which is in survey? Now, this little quiz is not being graded, not being given back to your teachers. It is strictly actually for you, because we've been discussing all of these questions in the last two classes, and quizzes are often a way to just help refresh your memory. So these results are not going anywhere.
I just seen the survey.
It's not coming up.
For some reason, I can't find it.
Let me see.
Stuff.
Yeah, I don't see it. Let's see. Is it up?
There's
Can
the
everyone
quiz.
see it? Okay. So there's 5 questions, and just take them. I'm only seeing question 1 though, Dominique. Oh, I see you scroll down and then you see the rest. Okay. Can everyone see it?
I think I messed up on mine. I pressed submit instead of scrolling down, thinking it was gonna go to the next question.
Do you want me to end and start it over, or is it all right?
If you can start it over.
I
Well,
think
I
I
don't
should.
know.
I think I should be able to. I'm going to end it and try to start it over.
Okay. I'm seeing it.
Sure. Tell her maybe disregard that one. Well, it's not letting me up. Well, can they do it? Because it's just saying share results, so I might can't do it now.
You mean, oh, it ended? Because I see it says quiz ended.
Yeah. Yeah, there it is. This should be it now.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
this should be
only
good.
one person took it, so this is not reflective. So let me
Exactly.
just quickly go over these.
And
What do you think
everyone
this
stroll
counts?
down.
Okay. So the reason we're giving the quiz is, as I said, to kind of not reiterate, but bring back things that we've discussed to make sure that you kind of understood. Okay, question one, what do you think best accounts? So what I'm going to do, because I don't want to keep talking, is bring up the question and let you all, since people didn't respond to this, what you think the right answer might be. So what do you think best accounts for the US having the largest incarcerated population of all countries in the world? So volunteers. And of course, you know, if I don't get a volunteer, I'll just ask somebody. So Michael, I haven't heard from you. Might you want to give us a suggestion of what the answer to that might be?
Of course. This is my first meeting, so I'm just going with the flow. But me personally, I put choice number 3, the policy adopted by the U.S. war on drugs, really increasing the number of people in jail. And I just did this by process of elimination because we don't have the largest population of people in the world. And I don't necessarily believe that we have more people behaving like criminals. So that's why I went with 3. It just made the most sense to me.
Great choice. You're exactly right. And he gave a good answer to that, so I'm not going to even expand beyond that. That was a good answer. Okay, question 2. Michelle Alexander's book is called The New Jim Crow. Why did she use that name to describe the prison system of today? Somebody want to take a shot at that? Mr. Brock Caston.
How you doing? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
For the Michelle Alexander's book, I put choice 1. The labor system in the U.S. jail pays so little that corporations make lots of money, making it almost akin to slavery. Um, I just feel like I put this one mainly based on our conversation that we had last time about how we were going back and forth about how the labor system in the U.S. jail and how they use jail to put people in uh, I forgot underdeveloped like communities so they wouldn't have to put as much money or effort into developing those communities instead. So that's basically how I came to that answer.
Very good. That was a good answer, and that is the correct answer. Choice 2 and 3 may be true as well, but they're not the answer to the question, which is why did she call that the new Jim Crow? Now, choice 4, actually, I would have given credit to as well. I confess that it's been a long, long time since I've read Uncle Tom's Cabin, but there's a character in there named Jim Crow, and Jim Crow and his mom got sold. So it's possible that that might have been a reason why she called it the new Jim Crow, because that word new might take the Jim Crow that's in Uncle Tom's Cabin, and that might be how she's depicting Black men of today. So choice 1 was the answer I was thinking of, but choice 4 also could have been a good answer. All right, this is another one that we studied. The Stanford Prison Experiment's main point was, somebody want to volunteer that? Kareem, you were so eloquent before. You want to try this one?
Can you repeat the question, please? Because I already submitted my quiz.
Sure, I'll repeat it. The Stanford prison experiment's main point was, and I don't know, is this showing on the screen? Because I can see it on my screen, Dominique. Is this showing on everyone's screen? Yeah, okay. So you can see the choices there.
I don't see it anymore.
So choice 1 is students are smarter and would never hurt anyone. Choice 2 is anyone put in a position of authority are capable of abusing people under them. Choice 3 is ethics is important. We should not have done such an experiment.
No, I thought they like were you?
And choice 4 is people are terrible and will behave so when permitted.
Like same haircut, same.
I think I put number 2.
Why did you put number 2?
Because I feel like humans are humans, and when you have the ability to act a certain way towards someone, knowing that you don't have consequence, you're just gonna like abuse it. If that makes sense.
That made a lot of sense. That was a great answer. And that was the right answer. Thank you. Okay, choice 4, the video of the Barred Prison Initiative showed incarcerated individuals competitively debating a top-notch debate team from the Academy at West Point. What might explain this? Anyone want to volunteer this one? Owen, could you help us out?
I chose choice 4, that the incarcerated team were highly motivated by the college education they obtained.
What made you choose that one?
I chose choice 4 because the other 3 choices didn't make very much sense to me. It takes a lot of drive to gain a college education after going through an experience like being in prison for a long time. So I guess them going, either way I saw it anyways, if I were to put myself in their shoes, that going against a college team would be kind of a proving ground to say that this is the education that I got and this is what I'm standing for and standing on business, I guess, because I got a college education same as you.
That was a great answer. It happens to be the right answer. Okay, very good. Thanks a lot, Owen. Question 5, if you were in a discussion on whether tax dollars should support education for the incarcerated, what is one reason you might contribute for supporting education? Jaden. Are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I can't see the question. The question is like I turned mine in already. I think I picked can you read them? I can't remember which one I
Sure,
picked.
I'll read them to you. Choice 1 is 95% of all incarcerated individuals return home, so it's better if they're educated and can take care of themselves. Choice 2, a 43% reduction in the recidivism rate for those who participate in college education classes. Choice 3 is education at $2,000 to $4,000 per incarcerated individual is much cheaper than the cost of incarceration.
That's the one I picked.
Choice 3?
Yes, ma'am.
What made you choose that one?
We're talking taxes. If we're talking money, wouldn't it make more sense? Wouldn't it make more sense to spend less? It seemed like the easiest choice.
Okay. All right. I do like that answer. There were other choices. Choice 4, for every $1 investment in prison education programs, there is a savings of $5 to $12. Choice 5 is none of the above. Choice 6 is all of the above.
I don't understand the savings of $5 to $12. What do you mean savings of what?
So I always have difficulty explaining this. So for every tax dollar that you put in, let's say, $1, let's say 20% of your tax dollars, and it's probably more, goes to enforcement, law enforcement.
Yes, ma'am.
So now if there's a person who's not in prison any longer, then your dollar's not going towards that. So they're saying every $1 investment in prison, if you educate people who are in prison, then when they're not going to go back to prison, and therefore you're going to save that money. That's at least one type of saving.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't understand that one. That's why I didn't say all of the above. They all made sense except for that one. So I was like, I'll just pick option 3.
Gotcha. Okay. So yes, it is all of the above. And yes, the reason that we put that one there is so that you would have facts at your disposal. I don't know if they can take a copy of this or not, but yeah, all of those things that are in question 5 are facts. Okay, so it is 7:58. We have 2 minutes left. In those 2 minutes, let me just reconfirm a couple of things. Number one, you're welcome to come back tomorrow if you want to have another chance at asking questions. But number 2, the next time we meet, and you will get communication in between then and now, will be on March 26th and 27th. You're welcome to come both days. We will have food at that time. It will be in the Walter Massey building. We're just not sure of which floors yet. And we'll have, please review the questions before that day so that you familiarize yourself with them and have an understanding of what you might, of what you think the answer might be and how to get to the answers that you want. Dominique and Shenard, is there anything that you want to add? And Roland Washington?
Well, you guys did good. That's all. Good. Picking at the questioning.
Y'all really did do good.
Yeah, great enthusiasm. Continue to prepare.
Anything, Shenard? Thumbs up. Okay. Gentlemen, it is 7:59. We are actually a minute early. So thank you for attending today. If you want to come back tomorrow, we'll look forward to seeing you. Otherwise, we'll see you on Tuesday, March 20. Oh, one other thing I should bring up. You might have gotten excited today, and there might be people who are asking you, about the gathering, and they might want to come. So we do have a role for them if that happens. We're calling them monitors. So you guys have been attending the program and have gone through what we just did. That was training that we just did. You can ask questions. They cannot. But if they want to come along, then they are able to listen and be a monitor, what we call a monitor. Okay? All right, gentlemen. We'll see you Tuesday or Wednesday, the March 26th or 27th. Thank you for coming out to this session.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Yeah, it was good.
Take care, y'all.
Have a good one. Thank you.